Welcome to the Bet Big, Talk Loud podcast for Saturday, June 13th. I am a very solo Chris Hodge going at it today. Man, it's been a tough scheduling week, man. We got recitals, boat tours, radio guys doing different things, guys that want to come in studio, just can't match up the time, but we're working on all of that. Very exciting day for me. I am a New Yorker. I am a New York Knicks fan. I've always said they're the only team I've ever wanted to see win. When you're in the business that I am in, you generally do not root for teams. You know, I would like to see the Yankees win. It's always nice, other than, seeing the Dodgers win, whatever. You'd rather see the Yankees. A New York team in football, I don't really care. It'd be nice. Giants, Jets, it don't matter. It'd be nice for all the Jet fans. They've been kicked in the dick for so long. It'd be nice to finally see them win. And the Knicks, we're in the same boat. We've been kicked in the nuts forever. So this is the first time in 32 years that I've woken up on a day where the Knicks could clinch a title. The last time this has happened is Game 7 against Houston back in 1994. The Knicks had a 3-2 lead in that series and didn't get the job done. But playing Game 5 tonight after an epic all-time, all-world comeback in Game 4 Wednesday night, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But something I have to mention, and there's a lot I want to talk about today, and today this is going to be an interesting podcast. I wish I had JR with me or someone, because I'm going to end up pissing a lot of people off today. I know it. But the first thing, which is positive and uplifting, and I thought was great, was the U.S. men's national soccer team last night opening up the World Cup at SoFi, open up at least their scheduled portion of it. Canada had already played, and so had Mexico. But I really was I was thrilled to watch the game Friday night against Paraguay. I really was. I thought U.S., I thought they played a great brand of soccer. It was interesting. My wife and I were watching, and I said, this is fun to watch. They're fun. They're young. They're creative. They're talented. The first goal, I know it was an own goal, but what Pulisic did on that, sometimes I mess up these soccer names. That's an easy one, though. I shouldn't get that one wrong. Splitting the defenders, getting the ball inside the box, and then you get the own goal. The third goal of the game was insane. Tillman, I thought, played a great game. The U.S. gets the first, was it Bologan? He scored the first multiple goal in World Cup since the 1930s. I think 1930 for the U.S. team to score multiple goals in a game. So, they were fun to watch last night. They get the 4-1 win, and they get a little bit of a scheduling break because they don't have to play Australia until Friday. And Australia has to play Sunday, so they get 2 extra days off, which will help. Pulisic, he couldn't play in the second half last night. He had something going on with a lower leg injury. So we'll see if that affects him going forward. But, man, USA, I'm rooting for them. Obviously, my home country. I'm not rooting for anyone else in the World Cup other than the USA. But it was really interesting, fun soccer last night. And I think it's going to be a fun tournament. I really do. I think the talent on display in this tournament, France, Spain. I'm interested to see the Brazil-Morocco game today. Morocco made a run in the last World Cup. Brazil could win this thing. That game's being played at MetLife Stadium. So that's exciting. Lots of exciting things with the World Cup. And, I've been with my wife for 28 years. I think I shocked her last night. I said, and I think I've told her this before, but wife, do they pay attention to us? Probably not, but we don't pay attention back either. I said, of all the sports, I love watching soccer the most. I love watching soccer the most. Premier League, La Liga, I love watching soccer the most. Champions League. So I'm excited. And USA, great job last night. They got the job done, and hopefully they get the job done against Australia on Friday. It's something interesting to me, and I told you, I'm going to piss people off this whole podcast. They played Turkey in the third game of their group stage. And I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm watching the way Turkey is now spelled. It ends in I-Y-E. And I just don't understand why we have to complicate easy. Turkey, for forever. Turkey. Why do we got to fuck it up? Why do we got to put different words and different letters in front of? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. It was simple, right? So now Turkey is, I don't even know if I'm spelling it right. Turkeye. It doesn't even make sense, right? But, whatever. Me, I like things simple. So, again, excited about the World Cup. See where it goes. And now let's get to some basketball. Lots to talk about there. We all watched it Wednesday night. Amazing comeback by the Knicks. Incredibly bad job by the Spurs from a New Yorker. The Spurs have no business losing that game. Great job by the Knicks not giving up. Great job by the Knicks getting that done. But that's as bad, and I think Charles Barkley said it, as dumb a loss as you will ever see. And the Spurs got to be kicking themselves because they're down 3-1 in the series. They've been up by double digits in all 4 games. They've been winning each game with under 2 minutes to go, and they're somehow down 3-1. So, great job by the Knicks, bad job by the Spurs. And if you just think if the Spurs play a complete basketball game, they're really tough to beat. But the Knicks just keep coming at you. And there's so many things, of the 5 biggest comebacks in NBA Finals history, the Knicks have 2 in this series already. 2 of the 5 in one series. They came back from 14 down in game 1. That's the 5th largest comeback. And then this thing the other night, 29 down, coming back to win that game. Obviously, that's the biggest comeback. So, the Knicks, you just can't kill them right now. From a gambling perspective, boy, the New York people are going to be pissed off at me. But I'm about to piss the San Antonio people off as well. So I might as well just get everyone mad. I think there's some value with the Spurs in the series. I'm going to tell you why. When the Spurs were down 3-2 to OKC, they played a really good game 6 at home. Elimination game. They played a really good game. They blew them out. And right now, the Spurs are like 350 for every 100 wagered, you win 350 back. So 350 to win the series. So if you threw like 1,000 on that, you got 3,500. If they get by tonight, which they're a 5.5-point favorite, how they bounce back, anyone's guess, right? What their psyche is. But if they win tonight, you really just got to get them by game 6, which, again, all intents and purposes, is not going to be an easy game to win. I'm just talking about from a value. You might want to throw something on this because if you get them to game 7, they're going to be a 5.5, 6-point favorite if there are no major injuries to anyone or suspensions with this lunatic Wembanyama getting flagrants or trying to stomp on the guy's leg like he did to OG. But, if you get them to game 7, now you got a massive middle. Now only one team in NBA history has come back from 3-1 down in the NBA Finals, and that was Draymond Green kicking LeBron James in the dick and not being able to play game 5, getting suspended, and then the snowball started to roll down the hill, and Cleveland, great job coming back. But that's the only team in NBA history to come back from 3-1 in the finals. So the odds are stacked against you. But that being said, and again, a Knicks fan, great that they're up 3-1. Ultra excited about tonight. First chance to close out a team here and get their first championship in 53 years, which is insane. But you can't sit here with a straight face and tell me the Knicks have been the better team in this series. I'm not saying they haven't been the better team, but, man, San Antonio gets a few breaks here and there. San Antonio's up 3-0. So my point is, this is not like it's been dominating, right? It's not like it's been, 4 games and the Knicks have just kicked the shit out of them and this team doesn't have a shot. No, I think the Spurs, there's some value in the series. So, again, nothing crazy. Don't put your life savings on it. But if you bet the Spurs to win the series at plus 350 and you get them to game 7, think about it. If you put $1,000 on the Spurs and they win the series, you win 3,500 back. Well, if you get them to game 7, you can come back and put 1,000 on the Knicks plus 5.5. Hell, even buy it up to plus 6.5. Now you got a massive middle. Now if the Spurs win game 7 by 3 or 4, you win both. So again, I think tonight, I think it's gonna be hard for the Knicks to close them out. Game 6. Look, the Spurs have played 2 good games at MSG, just one really, really bad quarter. And I think I think this is far from over. But again, that's the that's the Knicks fan in me, the person that's been just beat up for 47 years. I was born in 1979. So I've seen nothing but craziness. But I think that'll probably piss off some of the Knicks fan. Why? Oh, Chris, the Knicks are closing this thing out tonight. Let's pump the brakes on it. Let's see what happens. From the standpoint of, now I'm going to piss off everyone from San Antonio, man. This city's going to hate me. And this has nothing to do with your basketball team. Zero. But I read a story where they're not allowing the Knicks fans to buy tickets. Like if it's not within a 100-mile radius from San Antonio, they're blocking, like a Ticketmaster, and I think StubHub is even in this as well. They're refunding the tickets, and that they're allowed to do that. And I'm just sitting there, and I don't understand. Like, I always try to speak facts. The average home in San Antonio is about $300,000. That's what the average home price is in San Antonio, $300,000. The average home price in New York City is $2.2 million, okay? In the boroughs, it goes down to like 1.4, but actually in Manhattan, it's 2.2 million. All intents and purposes, it's about 9 or 10 times worth more. You Spurs, you Spurs fans, you guys don't have money, okay? If the Knicks fans want in, they're getting in. They're going to get in. So if you're a Spurs fan and you can't close out the series tonight anyway, and the average house in San Antonio is $300,000, and the average salary in San Antonio is $75,000, let me explain this to you. Again, trying to make no enemies. Just go to Zillow. Type in Queens, New York, and type in 300,000. You get a paddle boat. That's basically what you get. You might not even get the oars. You might just get the boat. You get nothing. You live on the street for 300,000 in and around New York City, in and around the suburbs. Nothing. Zero. 300,000, you are living next to the sewers. Right? So if you have a shot, if you're a San Antonio fan and you have tickets for tonight and some guy from New York offers you $7,500 a ticket, sell those in a heartbeat. That's $15,000. That's 1/5 of your average salary in San Antonio. You guys don't have money. You guys are a small city. A metropolis. New York is number 1. You know what San Antonio is? 24. If I went down to San Antonio, I had some of the money that San Antonio had, my wife would have left me 30 years ago. There's no shot. We have too much money in New York, right? So if a Knicks fan wants into the building, he's getting in the fucking building. If she wants in the building, she's getting in the building. You see all the case in point. When they play this game tonight, and you see all the celebrities, they're all going to be Knicks fans. I don't think you've seen one celebrity in this series, not one, that is a Spurs fan. Now we could talk about how the Spurs fans have been treated in New York, which is terrible. No one's condoning that. No one's condoning, you want to go to a game and root for your team. You should be allowed to do that in a safe manner and not have to worry about hooligans beating the shit out of you because you root for a different team. That shit's got to stop, right? The people of New York did not put their best foot forward with that one. Certainly, it was embarrassing for the city, and it does not represent all of us. Hell, if I was sitting next to a Spurs fan, hey, man, good luck. That's it. Be a grown-up about it. But if they want in the building, Knicks fans are like gnats, man. If they want in the building, they're getting in the building. So you might as well make some money off of it. Again, the average salary is $75,000. You could make 1/5 of it tonight if you got tickets. Fucking sell the tickets. What do you care? Now, Game 7, different story. Because your team might have a shot to win a title. And that might be sentimental to you. And you might want to see it. Great. But let me tell you something. If I lived in San Antonio, and the only thing they got in San Antonio that's really nice is that creek that Charles Barkley, the river walk that Charles Barkley calls a creek, man, no one's ever said, I'm going on vacation. Oh, yeah, where you want to go? San Antonio. No one said that ever. That's never been said. Ever. So, again, your team is a wonderful team. They're going to be around forever. They're very talented. I'm just talking about in terms of money. You guys don't have money. The Knicks fans have money. So if you let them in the building, what the hell do you care? So, I mean, that's what I would do, but trying to restrict ticket sales outside of a 100-mile radius. Like I said, man, Knicks fans are resilient. They're going to find a way to get into the building. They're going to find a way. So, tonight, I don't know what the San Antonio Arena holds. Let's say it's 20,000. I'm telling you, 40% tonight is going to be Knicks fans. I don't care what restrictions you put on ticket sales. 40% going to be Knicks fans tonight. It's that simple. So we'll see, and we'll see if the Knicks, close it out. But I think there's some value there with San Antonio to kind of middle some things and maybe, protect yourself and, have a risk-free bet because it wouldn't shock me if the Knicks closed them out tonight, but I think the Spurs are going to put forth a good effort. And, I hate where we are. Look, it was a stupid play, right, with De'Aaron Fox. It was a stupid play. A lot of people know if you've ever played basketball at any level, high school on up, you get the ball in that situation, 99% of you are going to dribble the ball out, or at least you should. But I hate where we are, where this constant blaming, of when an athlete or a person makes mistakes. I'm going to segue over to the gambling aspect of it with the kid Brendan Sorsby from Texas Tech, which you've all heard the story. But, in that split moment, you make a decision. And, De'Aaron Fox is one of the most talented players to walk the earth, and the proof of it is he's in the NBA. Man, you know what? I don't blame the kid. He tried to make a play. Probably got fouled on the play, but, again, pissing off the Knicks fans now, and I'm one of you. OG made a great play getting back, and obviously the tip-in is one for the ages, especially if they complete this championship. I mean, you're going to see that on review forever. But I really hate where we are in society, man. You just make a mistake, and these people on social media, these people all over the place just berate you and talk you down like, all right, come back, get them the next day. And that's what life should be. You have a bad Tuesday, have a great Wednesday. You have a bad Wednesday, do your best to have a great Thursday. We're in this thing, man. We're instant gratification. I don't know what it makes us feel good about to put someone else down. Right? I don't know why we're there. Like, why does that make you feel good to speak ill of someone else? That doesn't make sense to me. Okay? Especially if you're a fucking loser yourself. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, what have you accomplished in your life, right? But you're going to talk bad because a guy went for a layup? Get the fuck out of here. So, I want to see the kid respond tonight. Again, gifted NBA player. I want to see the Knicks win tonight. But there is some value, I think, with San Antonio in a series. So just, like we always say with gambling, be careful. Play it a certain way, and don't do nothing too stupid, and enjoy the game. So now the segue over to Brendan Sorsby, who the transfer quarterback for Texas Tech, who gambled $90,000, got suspended, filed injunctions, found a judge down in Texas who ruled in his favor, and, he's getting a 2-game suspension. Now, there's so much here. So much here. I'm in the gambling industry. I understand it very well. I think it's dangerous for a lot of young people out there. I think it's dangerous for a lot of old people out there. When I do Sports Investors Daily, which I've hosted since 2006, I do that every Saturday and Sunday morning, Sundays during the NFL season, every Saturday for about 44 weeks a year. I always tell people, be careful when you sports wager. Please don't bet more money than you can afford to lose. It's addictive. Alcohol is addictive. Drugs are addictive. Anything with addiction is bad. We could all agree. I have some issues with the hypocrisy of this country. You're an 18-year-old kid. You're allowed to, go sign up in the armed forces and go fight a war at 18 years old. No one's stopping you. If you're allowed to do that, you're not allowed to drink beer or alcohol until you're 21. I don't even know what the gambling law is in terms of each state, 18 or 21. But at 18 years old, you really don't know too much. So I think this gambling thing right now is negative in that regard. Flip side of that, you work, you pay your taxes. This casino's open all over the place. Who the fuck are you to tell me I can't go gamble my money, right? Like, I should be allowed to do that. Now, the NCAA has its own laws. I was an NCAA athlete. I had to go, and this is late 90s, early 2000s. And, before each season, you have to go through a gambling seminar. I did it. They said, if you gamble, you're getting suspended. That was way back in the day. Now, gambling wasn't legal back then, but I go through this whole seminar. A couple things helped me. One, I didn't have the fucking money to do it. I couldn't gamble even if I wanted to. I was broke. But that being said, these kids now with NIL and this gambling, and here's the hypocrisy. NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball. Every time you motherfuckers go to commercial, there's a commercial for a sports book. Every time. You go into an arena, you go into a stadium. Hell, I was just at one on Thursday. sportsbook signs all over the place. Okay, so you're in bed with the sportsbooks. You're in bed. Okay, and then in the same breath, you're going to turn around and go crazy when the people who partake in your sports gamble. Now, it's a bad look, right? It's not a good look because the integrity of the game gets questioned. Well, I got news for you. There's not many people out there that watch more college football than I do. And I'm telling you, this past year, I watched referees manipulate games. I said it on this podcast. You can go back and check it out. It's one of two things. Either the referees are manipulating games or they're incompetent at the highest level. It's one or the other. Both are bad. We watched game 3 of the finals a couple days ago. What? 5 days ago, Monday night, 6 days ago. I mean, that game was so poorly officiated in favor of the Spurs. Now, they made mistakes in game 4. Kid stepped out of bounds, which he did not. They missed some calls. But if you look at the way they've called this series for San Antonio, what's been a flagrant against the Knicks versus what's not been a flagrant against San Antonio. Like, you watch it. Everyone who watched game 3 knew the NBA got its game 5. The NBA won in game 5 on Saturday night. The Knicks were up 2-0 coming home. And the NBA, which I've said forever, is a dirty league. They could sue me if they want, and I would love them to because you'd have to prove, all the stuff. You had Tim Donaghy, a crooked official. Whenever you needed a game to go your way, you got Dick Bavetta doing a game. That's way back there. You have all these, Scott Foster. You have all of these referees that make questionable calls. You're a dirty league. You always have been. Always have been. No one can convince me that LA Lakers, Sacramento Kings, Western Conference Finals wasn't fixed. Yes, the F word, fixed. You know why? Because if they got the Kings versus the Nets, the NBA would have went out of business. No one would have watched. So what'd you do? You got Shaq and Kobe, and you gave them 40 fucking free throws in one game against Sacramento to make sure they got the win. That was 25 years ago. Okay? So it's been a dirty league. But here's my problem. Now you got this kid. By the letter of the rule of the NCAA, the kid should be suspended. Okay? He bet $90,000. He was at Indiana. He never bet against his team, thank God, but he bet his team while he was playing there. Okay. So that kid's going to be allowed to play. All right. A couple years ago, go Google this. Iowa had a gambling scandal. I believe the kid's name was Noah Shannon. I believe he bet less than $100 on Iowa women's basketball. Less than $100. Again, Google. This kid was suspended for the year. Another kid, his name slips, I think it was like Hunter Deckers or something like that. It slips my mind. This kid made a $15 bet. A $15 bet while he was a redshirt freshman, ineligible for the year. Where the fuck is the consistency? Where is it? I am one, if you play college sports or you play professional sports, you should not be allowed to gamble. Because especially if you're in bed with the sports books. That's what I believe. Now, whatever the laws want to be written, and again, 5 minutes ago I said if you pay your taxes, you should be allowed to gamble. Like I've said that. But in terms of your overall where you play, if you're in the NCAA or you're in the NFL or the NBA, you should not be allowed to gamble. Because, again, you're in bed with the sports books, too many questions get asked. I would say that's a good thing that you're not allowed to gamble. But when you're in bed with the sports books, you have a kid that bet $90,000 versus a kid that bet $100,000. The kid who bet $90,000 when he was at Indiana, betting Indiana games, gets a 2-game suspension. The kid who was at Iowa, who bet $100 on a different sport and a different gender, got suspended for the year. Make that make sense. Why is that? And that is what is going on in life right now. The hypocrisy is full of shit to the highest degree. I've said this 1,000 times. I am not a political person. I hate them all. I can't stand any politician. I don't believe a word they say. But you got a kid that went, and the kid Jackson Dart from the New York Giants, he goes and announces the president, President Trump, which is a lightning rod. People don't like that. and whatever happens on social media. Well, you just had Josh Jacobs kick the shit out of his girlfriend, or whoever it was, and no one says a word. No one says a word. That's what we call hypocrisy. And that's what is just destroying this whole thing. The powers that be, you are a hypocritical, full of shit bunch. You are hypocritical. You're so hypocritical. I don't even know if you know the rules based on even to not be hypocritical. That's how hypocritical you are. Because you can't say one thing and then turn around and let something else go. What? Like Ray Rice lost his career for hitting his wife. Okay? Now, why? Well, that was on camera. We all got to see it, which is terrible for them. All intents and purposes, he's a good husband. I'm not condoning what he did in any way, shape, or form. Okay? But he gets suspended forever because it was on camera? We all saw it? But someone else does it? You get 6 games? Like, what are we talking about here? And it's the same thing with this gambling thing. 90,000 versus 100. One guy out 2 games, one guy out a year. Well, how's it make sense? How's it make sense? And now here's where we really get in a bad way. And I hate this. That kid comes back from suspension and he throws a bad interception, or he overthrows a guy, or he just plays a bad game, which it happens. Every athlete in the history of the world, myself included, has played bad games, has tried their hardest and played bad games. I would hate to have dropped the pass in college and then been told, oh, you fixed that game. I would have hated that. I didn't have to go through that. Okay? Gambling wasn't a thing like it is now, back when I played. But that kid plays a bad game, when he comes back, and the first time you cut to commercial in the Big 12, you're going to have a sports book as like the first commercial up, and all throughout the stadium, you're going to have sports books all over there, and you're going to take their money, and the first time that kid plays a bad game, it's going to be bad. And that's the questions that will be asked, rightfully so. Kids make mistakes. I don't believe a 19-year-old kid or a 22-year-old kid should pay, potentially their career earnings over a mistake. But there has to be consequences as well. Because he has a bad game, we're all going to question it. Some kid right now is sitting at, and again, I don't even want to mention school, but any school, okay, any big time school. Hell, I'll just go bet 90,000. What's the worst they're going to get me? 2 games? That's the precedent that got set. It's okay. It's okay. Go gamble. And you're only going to get 2 games. Make X amount from NIL. Go gamble 90,000. And nothing's going to happen. And that's where we are as a country. There are no consequences. There really aren't. There are no consequences anymore. I raised three boys, 3 young men. And a lot of people out here have raised really good kids. And a lot of people haven't raised good kids. But I'll tell you this. You could ask my kids to this day. They fucked up. There were consequences. Dad was coming. I'm 6'3", 240 pounds on a good day. Dad was coming. Mom's your best friend. Mom's your friend. Oh, it's okay, honey. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Dad was getting up. I had a rule in my house. If I got up, someone was getting it. Whoever I caught first. If I took the time to get up, someone was getting it. There are consequences for your actions. Right now, there's no consequences. Right now, there's no consequences in college sports. These guys can do whatever the fuck they want. Pay this kid. Don't pay that kid. Kick this kid off. There's no consequences. College coaches, who are the biggest scams in the world. Oh, I'm here. Buy into the program. Do everything for me. Guess what? When I get a better offer somewhere else, I'm leaving. Go fuck yourself. It's all bullshit. It's all, what is the message that we are sending to the young people right now who in 20 years are going to be running this shit? What are we sending them? So I have a problem with it. So me personally, I'm rooting for the kid. The kid has an addiction. I want to see the kid get better. I want to see the kid have a great life. I would have suspended him for the year. Okay, you got to send a message. And again, I don't want to see a kid make a mistake and get punished for it for a long time. But there does have to be a punishment. 2 games is not a punishment, man. Who the hell is going to not do that? No, bet 90,000. I'm going to miss the first 2 games of the season and it gets whoever. teams that you don't even know their name. You'll get back for Big 12 conference play. Difference doesn't make. So I just think it's a slippery slope right now, man. It's a slippery slope, and no one can tell me different. You could go look at any archive of any radio show I've done or any podcast I've done. I've always said be careful with sports gambling. I don't care what walk of life you are. I do not care if you are a fireman. I don't care if you are a lawyer. I don't care if you are a doctor. I don't care if you're an accountant. I don't care if you're in the sports business. I don't care if you're a cop. I don't care who you are. I've always said be careful with sports wagering. Always said it. Okay? It is addictive. It could ruin a life. You got to be careful. Do not bet more than you can afford to lose. Do not do that. I've seen it firsthand. All right? But I've also seen, hey, if you do it smart and you do it patient and you do it disciplined, you can make a living out of it. But you got to do it that way. So, lots going on, man. I know I was solo today. JR had his daughter's recital. Tried to get Fred Davis. He was on radio down in Dallas. Tried to get Jim Russell. He was busy out in Philly. You know, tried to get a couple guys. We're trying to get Matt Serra to come live in studio. There's some great UFC tonight. They're doing that thing at the White House on the lawn, which they even tried to get rid of that. And they found a way to get that through. We've been in contact with Darryl Strawberry, try to have him come on. It's the summer, man. Spring into summer. It's tough with the schedule. Once you get back into football, everyone wants to come on. But to the Knicks fans, see what happens tonight. We've been waiting long enough. I hope I kept this entertaining for the time I've been on. It's not easy to do this all by yourself. But we'll be back next week. JR will be with us. Probably going to do it on Thursday next week. It is Saturday right now. And hopefully we have Matt Serra live in studio talking about the UFC. And we got some great guests lined up and some great sponsorship opportunities right around the corner. So we're making this Bet Big, Talk Loud podcast. It's going to blow up. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we sure hope you enjoy listening to us. Everyone out there, have a great Saturday. I'll catch you back on Thursday on the Bet Big, Talk Loud podcast.